support by casting. Come, Tony, come.
For sure, we want more quality, more integrity, more ability. Flood cannot do that for we. We want more, plenty more. And Tony gonna give us for sure. So we voting for Tony, we voting for Tony, we voting for Tony. And the BLP, we voting for Tony, we voting for Tony, we voting for Tony. And the BLP, we want more, plenty more. And Tony gonna give us for sure. We want more, plenty more. And Tony gonna give us for sure. We want more. We want more, plenty more. And Tony gonna give us for sure.
Look at that energy. Look at that energy from the Moore team. Let me hear you again. Good night, Market Hill. Good night to my special team, of course. Good night for all of you hearing me in Bridgecourt, in Bel Air, although I've not come to you yet, but I'll come in. Old Post Office Road. Everybody, all who are watching us online, good night. Wanna look good? I heard that a truck passed through here earlier this evening. What did it look like? It had on people? Doesn't it look like this? All right. That's how the votes going to be counting on the 11th of November. So I want to talk to you tonight, and Market Hill and surrounding areas is a privilege of mine this evening to be speaking to you. And I want to comment on something. There are a lot of people that have been questioning why an election this time and why public meetings. But I want you to look to your left and to your right. And I want you to see the people that are out here and who are actually following protocols. And this is saying something. If you don't have on a mask right now, don't make me shame, put it on. Because that's what we want. We don't want anybody coming down with nothing during this season. Because on the 11th of November, I need all constituents of St. George North to be healthy and ready to face the polling stations. And put your X where it needs to be put. Now, as I've been going around to houses in this community, as I've been engaging you in this community, I have been hearing many of you in the background, wait, I want to meet Sheba, I got to put on my mask. And that's what I want to hear. My canvassers have been coming back in evening after evening. And the main thing that has been high on their list, Tony, the people want to meet you. And that's a positive thing. Because although you are aware it can be all places at once, the very fact that people want to meet more is saying something. It's saying that you are ready. It's saying that you understand the importance of this time. It's saying that you not only want to be blind followers of a party, but you want to start to connect to the person that is going to be representing you, because I also want to connect to you. There's something that I want to start off with this evening on that note, and it relates to the COVID response. The COVID response is one that we should not take for granted. And I'm starting there for a particular reason. The other speakers have been mentioning everything that has been done for the last 2.5 years. But I ask you the same question that I asked you when we were at Golden Ridge just about 3 nights ago. When I asked the question, do you think that any other party in Barbados at this time could have delivered for the people of Barbados in the way that the current administration has handled this COVID crisis? Then your answer was no, and tonight it can be no different. And why I'm starting there is because so many other platforms are concerned with so many other things. In fact, they're not concerned with that many other things. They're concerned with me. And that's a good thing. Because while on their platform, they are speaking about me, and on my platform, I am speaking about me and what I plan to do for you, you know that when you go to the polls, it's only one thing in your head, and that's a vote for more. But I want to talk about the COVID-19 response. And I want to talk to you about the recovery plan that is necessary for us to counter the COVID-19 impact in particular. A number of people would be asking, why now and why more? And you'll be hearing it speaker after speaker, night after night, that we require a transformative agenda. Barbados is at a place where the decisions that we make in this 2020, even right now, will have long-standing effects not only for 2020, but for many years to come. Future generations will depend on the choices and the decisions that are made right now. Integrated in every single decision must be a commitment to our people. And one of the things that I want to address first of all tonight is this whole issue of inclusion. As I've been walking through community after community, district after district, street after street in this constituency, the whole notion of inclusion is one that stares you in the face before people even speak. I want to start by addressing the whole issue of access to water. Something as fundamental as water. In 2020, I was shocked, and I must admit, that in 2020 we have communities in St. George North that do not know what it is to have running water in their houses. I spend most of my time in St. John, although my house is in St. Philip. And in St. John, we have had periods in our existence where for a week and 10 days, no running water. You have to depend on a truck coming through the community. And we know the frustration. We've heard it by residents not only in St. John, we've heard it in St. Joseph, we've heard it in St. Thomas. People who, when they can't get running water, it seems like life goes on a pause because you feel that way. Because for anybody to be bathing out of a bucket in the 21st century is not something that any of us should feel comfortable about. But yet it's a reality for so many people. I went in Bailey Alley last week, spent 2 days or so, a day and a half up there. And I was the most shocked person to see some of the most beautiful structures that you can find. But yet those people do not have running water. And then we moved on to Golden Ridge. And I found out that some of those people also do not have running water. And then we didn't go to Ashbury. But the complaint is the same in Ashbury, that they do not have running water, and for a fundamental reason. They are sitting in a Zone 1 area. But if you are on a Zone 1 area, Tracia, you have running water. You are my neighbor. I don't have running water. That makes sense. And even although they say it is because once you were there before 1971 and so on, you're entitled to water, but after you're not. In the 21st century, and I'm challenging this, putting this challenge out to the government of the day. In the 21st century, we can't be speaking about enfranchisement when our people are lacking some of the most basic things that they need. And I start there for a reason, because many of you who are supporters here tonight, you can't connect. When your water goes off for a day or two, that is a problem for you. Have you considered what it would be like to be living up in a hill by Barbados standards anyhow, a hill nonetheless, having to take a trek up a hill like this on a daily basis, carrying water from a standpipe? And that is what you must do so that you and your family can observe good hygiene. Transformative change is what is required in Barbados. And I'm speaking to you tonight without a lot of hype. But I'm speaking to you on issues that I am connecting to with you, St. George North, as I engage you on a day-to-day basis. Running water, access to water. And if our people cannot have access to water for good reason, if we cannot find a fix to the issue, then we must be able to relocate them. Which brings me to the next point. Access for housing. Going through communities, people want to own their own house. We have people in rental arrangements, and they're unable to access their own piece of the rock. And for the simple reason that although some of them might be paying $800 in rent, $1,200 in rent, paying the same amounts that they may have to pay in a mortgage, the bank is not responding to them because their debt service ratio does not match the bank's requirement for a mortgage. So we have people who are able to, because they're paying their rent, but who cannot access the very things that they would need to bring enfranchisement to their family through housing. How many people grow up, and as you're growing up, you're saying, when I grow up, I want to be married, I want to have my own house. That's almost a basic fundamental thing for you young people. You want to own your own so that you can raise your children, so that you can leave something for them, so that you can be better. They can be better than you were. And such fundamental things are missing, not only in this community, but I imagine other communities as well. St. George North, I'm saying to you that the decisions that we make in 2020 in a post-COVID environment are decisions now that are going to be fundamental to shaping the future of these young people that you see down here, their children, and their children's children. And a vote in this election is not a vote, and I keep saying this night after night, is not therefore a vote that any of us can take lightly. There are people speaking about a referendum, and I'm not concerned with a referendum on the Barbados Labour Party as much as I'm concerned with having all of us remember just 3 years ago. Just 3 years ago, when a trade unionist could not even have an engagement with a government. Furthermore, be asked to come on board so that we can create a space for labor so that you can make it better not only for workers, but for working people generally and their families. And that is the point, that is the source of criticism. As you hear them platform after platform, Toni Moore has sold out workers. Ask them how. Ask them how, and you listen to them. And you break it down for yourselves. I had to say to one of them, you know, Toni Moore had one vote, though. And the people voted 30-0. What is it called that in cricketing terms? 30 love, that cricket. People voted 30-0. And there's a reason for that. You in St. George North, you voted for Glenn Clark again. But in your vote was not only a vote of people who supported Glenn Clark, it was not only a vote of people who supported the Barbados Labour Party, but it was a vote of people who were frustrated with the conditions that met them. And if that was 2.5 years ago, then the question for all of us, as it came from other speakers tonight, has to be, what has changed? How have they presented themselves to you in a manner that you should feel any confidence that things will be better if you respond to them? And the answer for you young people, a lot of the young people down here, I ain't talking about Carl Boyce, he old. But a lot of the young people down here that you see following me night after night, these are not just young people that I am identifying because I want little carnival coming to St. George North when we have political meetings. These are young people that as we go through communities, and you see the numbers growing, because as I go through community after community, we are organizing young minds to see themselves in this campaign. See their future in this campaign. This is not about gimmicks. This is not about tricks. It is about empowering our people to make wise choices for themselves, to determine for themselves where they think the best chance for a future lies, the best hope for a future lies. A number of these young people are among those who the choice of bettering themselves was just cut out from under them for about 6 years, until free university education was reinstituted. And I say free in terms of the covering of the tuition costs, because it's still a cost to education. And why we are recruiting and why we are organizing is because these very young people, I have said it before, have to be my eyes and my ears. They have to be the ones keeping my feet to the fire. When I come out here night after night, and I am frightened for it, when I come out here night after night, making commitments to them for a better way of life for them, they have to be confident and comfortable that the same way they can reach me now in this campaign, that they can reach me every day after that, because this is what I'm committing to, a life of service for the people of St. George North. And that's not something that we must take lightly. And when I heard one of the chairmen tonight speaking about a contract that is being contemplated by another person in this race, I know a number of you laughed, and I saw some people putting their hands up and saying, well, they know what he gives and so on. But I want you young people to understand that when you offer yourself for service, it is serious business. Gone are the days when politicians should be seen as people who only come around when it's election time. And I've had some of those statements hurled at me. And I stood up and I took each of them, because I know that in time you will be able to see for yourselves. It is not enough for me to stand up and convince you and say to you, I am not that kind of person. St. George North, you will see for yourselves and you will make the determination. But I want to go off script and I want to speak to other colleagues, because a number of people have been saying to me, Toni, you may come across as well-meaning. You may say that you are going to be X or Y or Z. But once you get there, you are likely to become like some others who have gone into a state of complacency, who have forgotten the very people that put them here. And as I receive that criticism on your behalf, I receive the criticism with the intention, I'm saying it publicly, and with the intention to speak to people who I know are well-meaning, who are taking up so much responsibility out in the many fires that you've heard about. But we must never lose the connection to the people who have put us there. And my commitment to you as I stand before you, St. George North, my commitment is one that as I take this trek day after day, community after community, committing that I am going to reach out to as many of the near 10,000 people in St. George North as possible. If I could do it in 5 weeks, I know that it is possible. You have to be able to reach me. So I started off speaking about access to water. I then went on to access to housing. Let me speak a bit about the road infrastructure, because I know that there's a young man here that is listening to me. And one of the things that he said to me yesterday evening, and his was just an example of the many comments I've been hearing. I don't look for things for myself. That ain't electric bus, but not keeping much noise either. I don't look for things for myself, but I look for things for this community. And it's more one of the things that we want to see in this community. It's an improved road infrastructure. For too long we've had commitment that the road in this Bridgecock Road going back to Newberry would be fixed. For too long, the people of Sweet Vale have been hearing that the road from Redland down to Groves will be fixed. The government has to do something. We understand. We get it. We understand that the other government, they don't do much in terms of road repairs. We understand that we are living in a COVID-19 environment. But what you must also understand is that this is not good enough. Ms. Moore, I'm challenging you to get out of your vehicle and try walking it. And the government that asked for a Toni Moore to come in and represent the people of St. George North is a government that has to understand that to whom much is given, much is required. And I also know that when you give me your vote on the 11th of November, that you will be giving me much and you will have high expectations as well. I want to go on next to the other commitments, the other requests that we have been having from this community, because I am demonstrating to you not only that I am hearing you, I'm listening to you, I'm internalizing everything that means something to you, because that must mean something to me. People are not looking for handouts in St. George North. The other things that people have been asking about, protect our children. For a long time, and I said it in a meeting at Golden Ridge, for a long time we have had promise that there will be a sidewalk to protect our children as they trek to school from Flat Rock up to Cuthbert Moore, from Sweet Vale down to Cuthbert Moore, and up to now we have seen nothing. And yes, for 10 years, nothing has happened. But in the remaining time of this term in government must see fit to keep the commitment to keeping our children safe on these roads. I remember growing up, coming from St. John and having to travel this road to school on a daily basis. And almost on a monthly basis, you will see an accident, particularly in that corner there and lower down St. Helens Road. When you really think about 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds making a trek to and from school on these same roads, is mind-boggling. That for 10 years, a government or a party that is now coming to you to say, give me another chance, left things like these underdeveloped. But yet they're saying that they're interested in people. I want to talk to you on behalf of single women tonight, because one of the things that has stirred me in a particular way is when I go from house to house and I hear some women ask, Miss Moore, I ain't getting no vouchers. I ain't working no more. I got 3 children. I got 4 children, and nothing is happening. This COVID-19 response, and then that's what I'm saying, words, yes, works more, people need to see. And they need to see it not in a flip-flop way where you're coming and giving people little handouts that can last them today, but not much beyond today. Women in this community need to feel empowered. And it is not good enough for our females, our single parents, to be at home worrying about food for their children and not being able to provide because they can't have a job. And a COVID-19 response is required that is not just a public policy that will take care of people's needs today. We must be taking care more fully of the needs of our people. And on that note, I must say to you, St. George North, one of the things that's concerning me as well is the very fact that a number of young people, 25 years and under, coming to us and saying that they want jobs. When we ask for the skill sets that they have, they're saying to us that they do not have any CXCs, they don't have any vocational certificates. Some of you might be in here. And what I want to say to us is that our system has failed our young people. You should never have a situation where our people are leaving school and immediately after, even if they have to leave school because they didn't manage the system they didn't get through. There's no way that we should have a system that sees young people not being able to truly enfranchise themselves. So as people are coming around to you and talking, and as I am coming around to you and talking, you will not hear me making promises of any short-term things that I will do for you alone, because that is going to be important to putting food on your table. But my fuller plan for you has to be a plan to bring you through enfranchisement. So you will hear, when the manifesto is put out this week, you will see us talking about better utilization of the Valley Resource Center, better utilization of the facility here at Cuthbert Moore, the James Bryant Center, because we need to embark on a program of training our young people to be better citizens. We need to be able to embark on a program that encourages our talented people within this constituency to see that there's a future for them. And that's why we were able during our walk yesterday to commit to Charles Reed and the ones over by the post office that we will be developing kiosks here in Market Hill. Because the same thing that has happened to Lower Estate, we can bring it to Market Hill because we've walked through, we've seen people into farming, we've seen people into dressmaking, and there has to be a facility for us to nurture our community entrepreneurial spirit. And so my campaign manager, who is also the minister responsible for community development, has committed to me, yes, Toni, we will set up kiosks. I am going to be joining you in recommending that the road infrastructure is fixed, that the bus shed at Cuthbert Moore is done. We are going to be looking at the draining programs, and these are more than election promises. These are commitments from a government that can do it because it is the government in power. Tonight, you would recognize that I came to you with a different kind of approach. Tonight is not about hype. It is about talking to people. It's not about being emotive. It's letting you know, St. George North, I am interested. The reason why I have been coming to you house by house by house is because relationship is what matters if representation is going to matter. And during the next couple days and weeks ahead of the election, you will be seeing more of me within communities. You will be hearing more of me. And I am urging you, people of St. George, to see the election on the 11th of November. I said it, and I will repeat it every night until the 11th of November comes. I want you to see this as an opportunity, not only for you to get more in St. George North, not only for you to demand more for St. George North, but an opportunity for you to deliver to working people in Barbados, to working people and their families, a voice that can and will make a difference when the time comes in the lower house of Parliament of Barbados. I am committed to you. With your vote, you will see what you have committed to. I've expressed already that a vote for me in this by-election is not simply a vote for me. It's a vote for your belief in the Barbados Labour Party. It's a vote for your belief that Glenn Clark's endorsement of a Toni Moore is one that will make a difference to you. Good night and God bless. See you in a few days at our next meeting.